Hi guys. So my last video I talked a little bit about domestic violence, some of the things you should expect, you need to get away, that kind of thing, and how being a victim can affect you. Um, this is my second video in sequence to that. So as you guys probably have suspected, I am a domestic violence victim and I am a survivor. It's not all cut and dry. Surviving this takes a toll on your brain. It takes a toll on you as a person, your life, how you can do your job, all of it. I have a medical degree, and at this point in time, I am unable to even do that because of the amount of duress I sustain in my field. I see neglect or abuse in my field, and it hits me so hard, I overreact. I've actually quit a job recently in the last year because of it, because it was that significant and it was not taken into account like it should have been, in my opinion. But at the same point in time, my fight or flight response was heightened. I was not the only person that actually left due to that fact. A coworker did as well. You have to understand that with this, you need counseling, but I would also highly suggest that you get on some type of medication to re-regulate the imbalance of the chemicals that your brain is producing, because that's what I'm doing. And I will tell you this, I am 100% against medication. I have suffered abuse from psychologists and therapists in the past as an adolescent. So for me, this is really hard. I'm having to make a conscious choice to do this. I am doing it to better myself, and my therapist is doing this to get me rebalanced so that I can be back to my norm. It can be temporary. It doesn't have to be permanent. But it helps you re-level out so that you can function on a mental and emotional basis on a normal level. It can take 6 months to a year. And you don't have to necessarily go full-blown, like full-blown therapeutic doses. Be honest with your doctor with what you're looking for, and be informed of what you're taking. I will tell you that. Ask questions, okay? Whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter, because men do suffer abuse. It is a fact. It is a statistic. And men have a harder time coming forward because they are supposed to be the strong ones in the relationship. But regardless of that, people do not come forward because there is a stigma, a huge stigma against domestic violence, because you don't leave. Well, leaving is the hardest part. Everything is stripped from you. Friends, family, finances, all of it. You're left with very little of yourself. You don't know how to function without your abuser. That's why over half of the people who are abused go back. I'm here to tell you there is no shame in going to seek therapy to help you overcome what these people have done. Abuse is not limited to just the physical aspects. I want you guys to feel empowered to get out of that situation, even if it's not quote unquote physical. The psychological aspects of this are just as dangerous. You have to make the decision. You have to want to leave. You can't just listen to me talk about this and say, oh, well, she did it. It took me 10 years. I left once, came back, left again, came back, left again, came back, left again, came back. Okay, it took me finding somebody who was willing to stick through all the bullshit and help pull me out of this stuff in order for me to stay gone. And that's the truth. I've actually moved 5,000 miles away from my abuser. That's a hard pill to swallow. There are facts of the matter, like they can sexual assault is a big part of it too. And when you think of sexual assault, that you think of getting your clothes ripped off and you're being forced down and all of this. No. Unconsented sex is considered a sexual assault. Okay? Whether you are having sex to make sure your partner is happy, who is the abuser, or you are making sure to keep the peace in the household, is considered unconsented sex. Whether you are doing this for those reasons, it is considered unconsented because you really don't want to. Even though you say you love this person, it is considered unconsented. It is a violation of you. So I have lost this is something that's very private, but I'll put it out there so y'all can understand this a little bit better. My abuser in particular, I would sit there and lay there and take it and fake orgasms because I could no longer have an orgasm while having sex. It was that bad. And that is something that y'all need to understand is a truth. I was required to have a hot meal done by a certain point of time, and if it wasn't, he would come home and cook one for himself. There were certain foods I was not allowed to make, and if I did, gosh be darned, I was going to get it. And it didn't necessarily mean it was physical. It could be verbal. It could be slights to me. This journey going through domestic violence, because it doesn't just touch you. And if you have kids, it touches your kids. And your mind will block out instances the more it happens, because you don't want, as a way to protect you, because your mind doesn't want you to remember it. So every time something happens, write it down. Tell somebody. I don't care who it is. Tell somebody. Send a message on Facebook because it's recorded. You know, it's important that you do this. Find yourself a counselor if you can. Even if you're only within a visit for 15 minutes, because that's all you can do. And all you do is sit there and tell her, look, I've got to unload and you need to listen to me. You know, because if you don't have physical bruises like in the state of South Carolina, they're not necessarily going to look at you. They can't do a whole lot. So psychiatric abuse, the only way to prove it is if you start getting into sessions. So do it. Even if it's just 15 minutes with a therapist and you just unload everything that happened. Call her, send her a message, that kind of thing. Get it on your medical health records. It's important. Find someone, if you can, if you feel safe, because that's the other thing, is you have to feel safe. Find someone who you can confide in that this is happening and say, look, I need you to help me. Be my witness to, I was going here, I went there, and there was nobody else. Because at that point in time, your abuser doesn't like being offset. They're narcissistic. And showing up at the house, and if you're female, I would highly suggest another female. Do not make it a male because you're going to antagonize him. If you're male, make it another male. Start, like I've said before, if you can, do not let them know any further what your finances are. Hide it. When I worked for Walmart, I had options to have my checks deposited and split different ways into different accounts. If you are able to do that with your job to hide your finances, do it, because your check is only that you bring home. The pay stub that you bring home is only going to show a portion of it, and it was deposited elsewhere. He will not have access to it, and you can technically have it sent anywhere. Okay, the bank can't release the money, especially if he's not on the account. So that's your squirrel away money. Don't touch it. There are so many ways to do this. Now, I cannot guarantee you there's a safe place for you to go. Talk to your local police station. Talk to your police officers. Let them know what's going on. See what they have to say. Ask what you can do. How should I do this? How can I go about this? Is there state things that I can file for? See what you can do. Follow your normal pattern to the best of your ability. That was my suggestion. Get counseling. That is your biggest and best bet. Now, I will tell you this. There is a possibility, because you are in counseling for domestic violence, it can be used against you. Okay? Because they're going to say that you're mentally unfit. And I hate to tell you that. But the conundrum with that is, under a federal statute, you're not. Look up the laws. I'm telling you right now, it's a disability. And you're protected under the Disability Act, and that's a federal law. Now, the state and county laws are different, so they're allowed to regulate differently per federal. But look it up on a federal basis, because if you're able to throw that into a courtroom, they have to abide by that. They do, on a technicality. Because if you're not mentally unfit, they can't throw that at you. You're just getting help to get over what happened to you. So if there's children involved, you're doing counseling. You're doing trauma therapy to bypass whatever has happened to get through it. And any judge worth his salt is going to see that and laugh at your abuser's face. And it doesn't matter if it's psychological, emotional, mental, or physical. Because even when you have a serious crime committed, like you're robbed and held at gunpoint or knife point, like I have been, they tell you to go to counseling. The police do. Okay? They cannot legally hold that against you, because it mentally screws with your brain. It cannot be held against you that I was not mentally sane. Even a business can't. So do it. I'll have more for you guys later as I go through more therapy, I guess, to give you guys some more insight to what I've been doing and how I'm doing. I guess I'll give you guys updates from here on out. Deuces.